Chapter 196. Part 5 of 5. Allowing logic to dictate my actions isn't the same as being heartless, I replied, patting her head. There is only a single Taya in the world. All other imitations are just that, imitations. Why feel remorse by killing a knockoff? Why feel sentimentality for a fake? Generally speaking, things like that are people trying to take advantage of your moment of hesitation. If you don't hesitate, it catches them off guard and gives you an advantage. I'm not acting without heart, I'm acting with tact. You probably would have thrived in this bunker, Ava said. All the rest of the monsters did. Now you're just being mean. Something that you should probably take into account is that I'm literally not human anymore. Being fused with a tree did something to me that made me even worse. That and you're a soulless abomination, she replied with a huff. Yeah, that probably also doesn't help. Point is, cut me some slack. I'm not normal like you. I'm a ghost. How am I any more normal than you? Mommy's easily got you beat in the weird department, Taya said. You complain about the same, though. You shouldn't let her instigate you like this. She started it. Ava and I both said. Are you sure I can't try killing her, Mommy? Taya asked. We're chained together. I don't want to have to drag her ghostly remains. Telling lies again, Ava said. You like having a real human soul around to interact with. You think I'm different, don't you? All humans are, I said. Hera and Athena had to spell it out for me, though. Ponies are part fae, part animal. They lack the human spirit. You mean spite? Taya asked. I still haven't gotten it down yet. That might be a part of it, I said. But there's gotta be more to it than that. Humans are more than hate and violence. Popsy and Ava are proof enough of that. I'll try to get more information from Athena later. All the more reasons for me to become one, Taya said with a nod. Wise, Ava said. To be human is to be close to God. All of the races of this world are just mankind's hubris run amok. Nav, do you truly plan to bring the humans forward in time? If I can do my best to ensure they won't destroy everything I've built, then yes. I hope you'll accept that as part of God's plans or whatever instead of trying to stop me. Our motives may not be the same, but our goal is clear, Ava said. If humanity truly can be saved, it is our duty to do so. No offense, but I plan to have you long gone by then. If I can find a way to send you to the afterlife, I'll take it. You deserve a rest and I really don't want to be haunted. What, I don't get to see this epic story to its conclusion. Where's the fun in that? I thought you hated me. Before she could reply, an arrow bounced off our shield. What, the guy is still out there. Quitters never win, Taya said. Don't judge him, Mommy. He's just a sore loser, I said, crossing my arms. Thankfully, they both shut up so we could walk in peace. The hunter tried shooting us 3 more times before we made it to the large doors leading to the next area. To be honest, the medical facility was the place I was dreading the most. What did you see in here? Ava quietly asked as we began walking in. You said you had visions of me. While I was walking in the halls, I was swallowed by a black void. Ava gasped and froze. When I came to, I was in your body, lying on a table in an examination room. Her eyes widened and her hands started shaking. An intercom clicked on and I got some instructions. I obeyed each one until it was something I couldn't do, then something took over my body and did it anyway. I remember, she whispered. It's all coming back to me. The black void. Yeah, that shit was spooky. The things they did. How? It was inhuman. To be honest, I don't know how things deteriorated, I said. You'd think the scientists could have flooded the bunker with nanomachines to force everyone to stay compliant. That may have worked until Discord got here, Taya said. But didn't you say that some guy with sex slaves killed their leader? That seems like a Discord-esque move to me, I said. Go after the guy with the easy weaknesses and use him to induce strife amongst the rest. I bet he sat back and watched the monkeys going at it with a huge grin on his sick, twisted face. Bastard. I have a request, Ava said. Can we explore this place to find out what they were doing to me? It's obvious, I said. They were testing nanomachines on you. Things like Flo and Jonathan. Scientists all across the globe were working on the same thing, so I don't know why you're so shocked. You feel no curiosity at all, Ava said. That's so sad, to be honest. It does get a little old, Taya sighed. And she's so hard to impress, too. She watches all kinds of super unique and cool things with this bored, dopey expression on her face. It really makes adventuring a drag sometimes. It also makes getting her gifts impossible. Then don't get me gifts, I said. I don't need more stuff anyway and it saves you time and effort. Now, let's get going. Instead of waiting for them to keep bitching, I started walking. Keep an eye out for huge voids of nothingness. I'm not sure if magic can fight it or not. If you truly want to skip everything, we can get through here relatively easily, Ava said. It's really only 4 turns, though it'll be a lot of walking. Even if we did go investigating to find out what was here, we wouldn't be able to find anything because all the paper rotted and none of the computers work. We might see some visions, but we haven't found any useful ones yet. So I don't see any reason we shouldn't get through as quickly as possible. Then keep going straight, Ava said. That's just what we did. Thankfully, the conversation ended. Listening to both of them whine really got old. It took us about 5 minutes to get to the first turn. After that, it was another 10 minutes to the next. We passed several open hallways in that time, along with a few angry skeletons that yelled at us. It's easy to see how you'd get lost in here, Ava said when we came up to the 3rd turn. There are so many hallways leading in every which direction. I honestly believe they made this place like a labyrinth on purpose, in case any of their subjects escaped. I could see that, I replied. Which makes it all the more surprising and lucky that I managed to even make it out the first time, let alone make it out going the correct way. It's not like you'd ever let yourself die somewhere like this, Taya said. If anything, you'd want it to be in a bed surrounded by your herd. They'd probably be the ones killing me, either out of jealousy or by smothering me on accident. Pick either Moonbeam or Celestia, Ava said. On the off chance that Celestia ever somehow reverts back, she won't be able to kill you if you're married to her. And if she tries to kill you while you're married to Moonbeam, it would mean war with a race almost as powerful as her own. Moonbeam has done so much to change herself based on your words. It's obvious she cares about you a lot and values your words. I feel like the new Celestia would be a decent match for you, and if not, tweaking her would be easy. I hadn't considered marrying Celestia to prevent her from killing me later, but it does make sense. I'll have to see what the visions show me later, and what Moonbeam has to say about her deal with Discord. And so everyone shut up again, letting us go back to getting through the super creepy medical ward. When we got to the 4th turn, Ava sighed in relief. I can't believe none of those were blocked. We should be to the next area within 5 minutes, assuming all goes well. You just jinxed it, so obviously things are gonna go tits up. What's that supposed to? Oh. Sure enough, the void was approaching behind us now. Taya, hit it with light. Her horn lit up and a bright white light slammed into the void. It couldn't push the darkness back, but it slowed it down. Run! The two of us started sprinting forward. Ava, make faces at it. Got it, she replied. I couldn't spare time to check if she was actually doing it, but I had faith. Every few meters we went, Taya left another ball of light. I was really hoping that meant she was slowing it down enough, but the ghosts had to be super pissed at this point. In the doom and gloom ahead of us, I started seeing shapes appear. I ripped my sword out in time to cut a walking skeleton in half. Taya slowed down a moment to let me take the lead. I cut every shambler down, clearing a path for the two of us. It did slow us down, but looking back would slow us down even more. You might wanna run faster, Ava said. It's getting closer. Make angrier faces. I shouted. Taya groaned and sent a cone of light ahead of the two of us, turning all the undead to ash. Since the path was clear, we picked up the pace. We began hearing whispers right around the time we saw the entrance to the next zone. When we were about 10 meters away, Taya squeaked and managed to pull up next to me. I saw that something was pulling slightly at her tail. After that, I felt something else pulling on my braid. That's when I remembered the darkness had an awful suction effect. Clearing the entrance felt like a miracle. The pulling I felt vanished when we crossed, but we continued for almost a block into the huge sector. We only stopped because the path forward was blocked by a huge pile of rubble. I carefully sat on a large block while she fell onto the floor. That looked unpleasant, Ava said. We were both panting too much to answer with words, so I flicked her off. Catch your breath soon. You were loud coming in, so the slave master will probably be here soon. How's he fight? Taya asked. Chains with ghosts attached to the ends, I said. Break the chains and free the ghost. Once you break all of them, he's done. This should be the easiest one so far, though his ghosts might be able to get through a shield. Taya got back to her feet with a sigh. You're gonna make me do everything again, aren't you? That makes it sound like you won't enjoy it. Once we free his ghost slaves, they'll point us the right way. Let's get hunting. I'll let you lead the way, Taya said. I guess you're useful enough as a body shield, too. Gee, thanks. I finally slid my sword away and picked a random direction to walk. By the way, we're going to avoid going into buildings, if possible. Undead can spawn there and a lot of the stuff inside the buildings is dangerous. K. After 3 or so minutes of aimlessly walking the streets, Taya froze. I hear something. It's rattling. I pulled my sword out and started tapping it on the ground. We're over here. I shouted out. After that, even I could hear the rattling. Standing in the middle of the street, just waiting to be enslaved. Taya giggled as the first of the chains came into view. Let a few more appear. When the child on the end of the chain saw us, it began screaming. 3 more chains rounded the corner and all 4 began flying our way. Taya's horn lit up and something sliced each one in half. The slave master roared and I laughed. This time, I heard rattling and some stomping. Another chain turned the corner, though it didn't approach. Pull back, I whispered. We started backing up, though we didn't move our eyes away from the crying chain. When he comes into sight, destroy all of them at once. Got it, she whispered back. Before he could turn the corner, the chain watching us jumped forward. Taya freed that guy before he could get close to us. The stomps stopped before starting again, this time much faster and in the other direction. Shit, after him. Taya and I started running forward. Unfortunately, the evil dude knew the city better and we couldn't see or hear him by the time we got to where he ran. There was a kid pointing in the opposite direction, though. So now what? Taya asked. I guess we follow the directions we get, for now. Hopefully that pussy will come back. With that in mind, we started walking in the other direction. The kids let us go 4 blocks before another one pointed us to the right. That only lasted a single block before we had to go into a building. What do you think? Taya asked when we were standing in the entrance. There was definitely some rattling inside, but I didn't know if it was the slave master or machinery. Well, this is where they're pointing us. Stay by my side and be ready to attack anything. Got it. She pressed herself against my leg and we entered the dark building. So is the goal just to get to the other side? Hopefully. When we got to the main room of the factory, there were a ton of moving conveyor belts. Each one was covered in cans that were in various states of readiness. Some machines around the belts added things like labels, rotten black contents, and lids. What are those? Taya slowly asked. My people had ways of putting food in metal cans to preserve it for long periods of time. That's what this is doing, but I don't know what that black shit is. Tear out 3 sections of the belt. That should destroy the entire process. We shouldn't get near the machines until they've stopped. Her horn lit up and 5 sections got sliced off. Each fell to the floor and the cans on top of them all scattered. The belts on the remaining sections tried to continue moving for a few seconds before an alarm went off and everything shut down with a loud clang. Dozens of cans fell from the sudden stop, spilling that gross black stuff all over the place. I'd say that did it, I said with a nod. Unfortunately, the alarm drew in 5 pissed-off undead engineers, each wielding a large wrench. They looked at the huge mess before shouting and sprinting at us. By the time I could pull my sword out, each was dead on the floor with fluids leaking out of their ears and noses. I'm the best attack filly ever, Taya smugly said. Let's keep moving. She huffed, but followed. The conveyor belt area took up the main bulk of the building. Once we got through it, a short hallway took us to the other side. There wasn't a ghost there, so we just continued straight until we hit a roadblock with the 4th ghost. He was pointing left, so that's where we went. I hear rattling again, Taya said. I think it's chains this time. Good. This time, instead of breaking the chains, grab them and drag the asshole out. Got it. Should I call out this time? Scream like you're hurt. K. She took a deep breath and started screaming bloody murder. I hoped the rattling was getting closer, but I couldn't hear anything over her. After about 10 seconds of it, I grabbed her face so I could force her mouth closed. The rattling was uncomfortably close. I let her go so I could pull my sword out. It's behind us, Ava said. Taya and I both spun around. 3 chains were rounding the corner. They saw us at the same time and started screaming. Taya's horn lit up and a light surrounded the chains. She tugged and tugged and tugged until the chains finally broke with a screech. What? We couldn't hear any more rattling, so hopefully that killed him. Let's keep going, I said. That gives us a few more directions, at least. If we're lucky, we can get out without even killing him. We started walking again. Man, I'm really tired of being in here. This place sucks. Well, we're almost out, Taya said. It does kinda suck. I'm gonna go ahead and guess the takeaway from this memory is that there's nothing to fear from this shitty-ass bunker as long as I have a super powerful mage by my side, I said. And since my daughter is now an Eternifili, there's nothing to worry about. Sounds like a good lesson to me, Taya replied with a nod. Another ghost appeared to give us directions and we turned right. Is that a ladder? It is, I said. It was on the other side of a pile of rubble and we could only see the top of it. The way behind us was clear, thankfully. I'm gonna go back a few steps to get a running start. Wait here. If you hear rattling, run toward me immediately. Of course. I gotta keep you safe, right? I flicked one of her ears and began walking. I didn't need to go far, so I ran forward, spread my wings out, took off, and grabbed my cute filly. We flew over the rubble and directly into a chain that slapped me in the face. It slammed me into the debris, pushing Taya under me. She immediately floated me off, giving her a clear line of sight to 2 more chains. She sliced both of them in half and set me on my feet. How do you feel? She asked. Heal me, I groaned. It felt like my forehead was bleeding and I wouldn't be surprised if it was broken. I'm honestly surprised it didn't straight up knock me out. It only took her a second to put me out of my misery. When she pulled away, she asked, how's that? Much better. I picked her up and jumped down to the bottom, letting my wings slow our fall. Let's get climbing before it comes back. We walked over to the ladder and I knelt down so she could climb on my back. When she was secured, I started climbing. More rattling, she said. I don't see it, though. From the barricade. Ava shouted. Taya's horn lit up and vaporized a chain that was trying to reach us. I could hear more rattling, so I knew it wasn't over. Inside the building behind us. I couldn't see what Taya did to that one, but the rattling finally stopped. I was almost to the top, so it wasn't much of a relief. The hatch at the top was too small for us both to use at the same time, but I could easily feed her through. He's gonna attack when we get to the top, I said. I'll let you go through first. He'll probably go for my feet, so be ready to repel him. Her horn lit up again and a large shield surrounded us. Even if his ghosts get through it, they won't have enough room to reach us now. It costs a lot of energy, but if that's the end, it's worth it. I certainly wasn't going to complain. When we got to the top, she climbed her way up and I helped push her the rest of the way through. The last 3 chains reached for me the moment my hand made it above the top, but they couldn't get through the shield. I easily climbed out and soon we were both facing Ava's corpse in the final elevator. That's my body, Ava said. Sure is, I replied. Let's get to the elevator. Should we pay any kind of respects? Taya asked. Why? If you want to talk to her, she's right above us. I started walking. Taya shrugged and followed. Ava stared at her skeleton as we slowly walked past. Before we could get to the final door, she said, wait. I sighed and stopped. Thank you for letting me work with you, Nav. I know you didn't really want me there and I know I annoyed you at times. Unfortunately, we are stuck together. To be honest, I don't really want to be merged with your body, either. I'd rather be freed so you can have your own soul. Well, that's the ideal results. I'll do my best to make that happen. And I'll do my best to actually forgive you for being a body snatcher. Good. Farewell for now, my dear Lady Navi. Bye, Felicia. Taya and I finally walked to the elevator. It opened for us, revealing Flo's glade on the other side. We walked through without a backwards glance. End chapter 196.